Let me make sure this is working here before I get talking too much. Fantastic. Yeah, everybody. Hey, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and I am sitting down for another hobby hangout. I try to do these every Friday to catch folks over in Europe. It was requested a lot before I started doing it, like, hey, can you do something that's a little bit more time appropriate for us? And so this is a good time to just connect with me if you're over in the, well, basically anywhere in America. So what I'm doing today, and we'll go to the downward cam and I'll show it off, is we are working on some Morboyz. Let me get my camera situated here a little bit more centered. There we go. So we're working on some Morboyz. Basically, they all have rocks and stones on them. I'm going to go through and do that right now. Slowly coming together. This is going to be a unit of 20. Sorry, a unit of 30, but I already have 20. Sorry, unit of 30. 10 are done. So these are the last 20 plus a war dock. So that's what I'm doing right now. And so that's all we're going to do is hobby hang and chat and stuff. But I thought I would do one kind of fun thing. Kind of fun for this event. Basically, over here on the left, you'll see the blinding white. I'm sorry, I can't find a place that it doesn't reflect light. In this month's White Dwarf, which if you don't know it, came with this super fancy cover. Everyone keeps talking about the Slanesh battalions that came in there, and we can definitely discuss that. I have no problem discussing it. But what I found to be far more interesting is actually in this opening section. And this has been a reoccurring thing, and I absolutely love it. Thank you, Games Workshop, where Phil Kelly just talks about the realms. I know this is super blinding, and I apologize, everybody. But he just kind of goes through, and in this one, what he does is he lists off, I think, 40 bullet points to get you kind of in the zone for the setting. And I thought we would talk about them because some of them are very interesting that we haven't really had any, like, I don't know, not confirmation necessarily, but like haven't really been discussed. So we'll put these guys off to the side because they don't have rocks on them. And I'm going to just basically start by reading this off. If you guys want to say hi, make sure, tell me that my audio is working perfectly and you can hear and see me okay. I'm still, after YouTube kind of messed things up for me, 2 days ago? I'm a little leery, so go ahead and let me know if things are working for you. I see Grant in the chat says woot woot. And that's how you say that. That's the official pronunciation is woot woot. Hello all, awesome to catch a live stream. All audio and video is good. Thank you so much, Daniel. Appreciate it. So, yeah, let's get cracking. Let me adjust my light so I can see a little bit better, and then we're going to start reading. Interesting is that, like, they have a special kind of compass that points towards the center, like the least magical place, because otherwise, like, no other compass would make sense for trying to survive. I thought that was an interesting idea. Like, how does navigation work when you live on a disc? And that was a simple one, but I thought that was cool. It's a cool way to kind of build like a next logical step for stuff that we're kind of already introduced to. So I like that. Let's see. They come back to the theme again and again that stormcasts, being a stormcast is not nice. I think they bring it up like 3 or 4 times in this article of just like, it's not a blessing. Immortality in this situation is an absolute curse. Everything sucks. Which is, of course, very GW of them. Very on brand, if you will. I'm just going to go read through these like little quick tips about AOS and the setting that I got from my White Dwarf. But if you have any questions you want to ask about this or anything else, go ahead and ask them in the chat. Just be sure to write question in all caps so I can see it. And I'll just keep on going. So there's, like I said, a bunch of stuff that we already knew. But then there's some interesting ones like... Where is it at? It's not only humans that have converted to Sigmar's cause, but also elves, dwarden, and even stranger entities. One of the 12 famous saints of Glimsforge is a Gargant, Templeson, who became devoted to the God King. He fought so well in Sigmar's cause that he became a sainted figure. I love it. So we have a lore reason for a good guy Gargant. Why we can't do that rules? I guess we can. We have mercenaries now, right? I forget that Because am I crazy? Are Gargants part of the mercenaries thing? I feel like they were. I feel like they were really just pushing everyone to take that stinking model. Let's see. What are we reading here? Yes, this is this month's White Dwarf. I got it yesterday, and I've been kind of piecing through it, and there's a section here by Phil Kelly where he kind of talks, he lists off some basically fun facts about the Mortal Realms. He says it more eloquently than that, but there's some interesting stuff that I haven't quite gotten to yet, but we will do that. The Grug Brothers, thank you so much. Let's see. Converted. Where is it at? Oh, here we go. Number 15. In Hysh, there exist elves who have learned to take light into themselves and become one with magic. For all their brilliance, they have a dark history indeed. So I'm assuming that is our nod to light elves coming. So I'm interested in that. What does it mean to take light into yourself? And what are the consequences of what is basically becoming part magic? Interesting stuff. Let's see. Order Sempentis are considered just as every bit as vicious as the Chaos forces they kill. Basically, they just kind of align themselves with the forces of Order, as sort of like an enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing. Like, they have no interest in being good guys at all. Let's see. Sorry, my cat's banging on my door and it's driving me crazy. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. He doesn't actually want to be in here. He just wants to know that he's not allowed to be in here. Okay, so cat problem solved. This is interesting. So it goes through... There's one section here. Where is it at? Oh, number 8. Basically says that the Saurus warriors of the Seraphon don't really have good relations with anyone because they don't speak the same language, but they do salute each other because they know they're all on the same side against chaos. And what's interesting is that later on, number 18, the Skinks of the Seraphon race maintain embassies in several Sigmarite cities. For though their Saurus... Oh, I'm going to turn the page here with one hand. Their Saurus and Kroxigor guardians can only growl. Skinks are capable of chattering away in the tongues of man, Dwarden, and Elf. It's getting them to stop. That's the problem. So that's an interesting kind of tidbit that they're... Again, we've talked about not necessarily retconning the lore that's in the current book, but expanding it greatly. And I think that would be a huge step. Is especially if you give skinks a vital role in the society, and they would be emissaries and ambassadors because they can speak. I think that's really cool. Kind of like how, when I was doing the Beast of Chaos lore videos, you read stuff about Ungor and you're like, oh, they're the crappiest and the cheapest and they're living cannon fodder, that kind of thing. But then when they unpacked it in the battle tome, they're like, oh, actually, even though they get stomped on and made fun of and totally beat up, they're actually super valuable because they have hands. They have the dexterity of man to be able to build things and do stuff. And I was like, okay, so you took your chump unit and you gave it a significance in the army. That's a win. And so, I don't know, I think that expanding to having skinks be important in terms of how the factions interact with each other is really, really cool. And it makes me sad that we didn't get a Seraphon mercenary company where a skink can be he can hash out the details and do... sell the services basically because he can communicate. So yeah, there's a few ones that just a lot of this is just recaps of stuff for people who came a little late to the game. By that I mean like, you know, Sigmar lost his hammer, Galmaraz, you know, that kind of stuff, where it's like, okay, it's old news. Let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions in the chat. Jason says, "Hey Doug, long time watching your content on here and rerolling ones, never caught live." Oh, thank you so much, Jason. That's very kind of you. Organ Brothers. Let's see. No, the cat ran away. You saved me from being absolutely bored out of my mind at work. Oh, well, that's, you know, I'm here doing the Lord's work. Just stopping boredom left and right. I don't have any amazing questions or content like I did. I had a lot of fun last time. If you didn't see the last stream, we did a date night where I pulled up a list of 130 something first date questions and went through them with everyone who was viewing at the time. It was good fun. I laughed a lot. The Lord's work, that's right. Let's see. Do you think we will be seeing reimaginings of Legendary Source? I don't know. Every time I say, like, I used to be like of the mind, like, oh, okay, obviously they're moving away from recycling characters, and then they are always like full bore into it. You know, here's Marathi, here's Gotrek, here's, you know, just a bunch of stuff. Lore's talking about Tyrion Teclis a bit more. I don't know. So it is anyone's guess. Okay. And I think that's it for the stones. Okay. Beast Claw book is removed from the GW store. Am I excited? Yeah, assuming it's for a new battle tome, which I hope it is. Very much so. You know, it's one of those things like ogres are a faction that like I don't have an interest in playing them, right? I mean, I'm more into other stuff, but I definitely want them to be more than they are, right? I can not have an interest in playing an army, but really want it to be dived into. I don't know how to say that. Let's see. I'm just looking up some more stuff here. A lot of it's stuff I've covered a lot. Oh, here we go. Number 31. This is an interesting one. The Daughters of Cain stage illicit blood sports in the hidden corners of Sigmar cities, providing a source of thrilling entertainment for those with enough coin to watch them. These observers do not always make it back out, for the Scathborn hunger for their own sport in turn. Dave and two. So, that's an interesting one. So if you're a Daughters of Cain army owner, you should make a blood sport pit arena army. That'd be, or a display board. That'd be awesome. TG Disciple says, Dougie Doug, what's up? Just cranking out some hobby. Let's see, anyone with fur? Nope. This is when it gets to the nitty gritty, when you're highlighting just those very, like, here and there parts of a model. Like, oh, does anyone have any fur, like, of this kind of fur patch? It's like, you know, 4 out of your 20 guys. I did decide, though, that so that I don't burn myself out like I did with my Skaven, then I'm basically going to paint a block of 20 of Bone Splitters and then stop, paint a block of 20 and then stop, you know what I mean, like, and go just paint something else, literally anything else, so I don't get all overwhelmed. Let's see. I remember having the idea of the Stormcast having to go down to one of those illicit corners of the city, recruit Daughters of Cain, and being very uncomfortable. This is not my scene. This super sucks. Sorry, guys. And it's just a bunch of Daughters of Cain being like, "Who let the narc in?" Let's see. Steve, I just finished 40 Savage Oryx and 10 Morboyz last week. Nice. Treated myself to Thankful today. Contrast was a dream for the Oryx. Yeah, I painted the 10 that I have done already. I painted with contrast, but I like the more olive skinned green rather than the orc flesh green. I'm not sure how you painted yours, but so I was like, we'll just do it. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. There's still some contrast on these guys, like definitely for their weapons and that kind of stuff. Because browns go over this green primer really, really easily. Like it doesn't show through green at all, really. So I made it easy. Let's see. Nikita, need to finish my Beast Claw project, and I can't wait to try Bone Splitters. Do you think any new models are coming out, or GW will abandon them for years again? For which one? Beast? Honestly, for either of them, I don't see a whole lot coming out. If I'm super honest with you. For either of them, yeah. Maybe something that would work with the orcs for like, what do you call that game? Underworlds or something like that. But, I mean, and that's fine, as long as they keep the army being fun and stuff like that. Obviously, they're coming out with ogre stuff, and if they combine Beast Claw and the traditional ogres, like, obviously, then you would get new unit options. So it kind of depends on how you frame that. Let's see. The laser baloney. I'm thinking about starting a Skaven army, but I'm a little worried about spending money due to some of my friends talking about a new model line. That's going to be a while. It's going to be a while before they get new models, honestly. Or if they are, it's going to be like replacements. Like, here's a new, I don't know, Gatling gun weapon crew, or to get rid of their metal model they sell. That would be my hot take on that one. So go with whatever you like. Let's see. You used orc flesh. Seemed perfect time to try contrast. You getting any of the savage orc heroes? War Chanter's the MVP. Yes, I have a War Doc here. I have a savage big boss that I finished building just the other night. He's an amazing model. Love the pose where he's like in motion, launching himself forward. Some War Chanters. Some what else? Right now I have two War Chanters. One's built and painted, the other one's still on sprue. So that's going to be a little bit before it's ready, but yeah. And GW is pushing Bone Boys, all the budget went to that. Question, any hopes or dreams for Christmas Battle Force boxes? Been some rumblings and rumors, but curious if you are hoping for anything. For me, personally... I would love to see a Gloomspite Gitz box, and that's pretty... I feel very confident that that's going to be one of the options. And I say that selfishly because they can ally in with these guys, and that sounds awesome. I don't know how much I would do it, but it just sounds stinking fun. So now I'm just going back through and highlighting all of the bone. As far as other factions, I'm not so sure. What other factions were released early this year? There might be a Slanesh one, maybe? Let's see. And I don't have much in the way of hopes or dreams for 40k ones. Not because I don't like them, I'm good with 40k right now. Actually, I'm going to do a hobby haul about it, but I went out and got a whole bunch of Tau. Because I was like, you know what? I don't want to have the same strategy in AOS as I do in 40k. I want to try something different, so went and got some Tau so I can do some shooting. Because I don't do any shooting in AOS. It's not my jam. Let's see. 1 second, I'm just getting this little bit of detail, and then I'll go back to looking at the chat. It's kind of that awkward point when you're doing batch painting where it's like, okay, now I have to like triple check that I've gotten all the bone bits on this guy, or a triple check that I've gotten all the, X whatever color you're working on, kind of thing. Looking good. You don't seem like a Tau player. I just wanted something different. There was a stellar deal with a bunch of... I love the vehicles, is kind of what it comes down to, which I know is not the optimal way to play them, but I just love the models. And honestly, I don't play 40k very much. So if I break it out every once in a while and I get my teeth kicked in, that's okay. Let's see, good old fish commies. Let's see, there will be Salamander's box this Christmas. That's a cool idea. Orc battlesuit, more dog. Okay, let's see what our next fun fact about AOS is. 32. I'm going to do a video about this guy here pretty soon, but if you didn't know, Gabriel Sherhart, the man who dominated Stormcast competitive play for a little while there, actually used to be a slave in Khorne fighting pits until he was killed and Sigmar took him up, and all of a sudden he's a Stormcast Eternal, and he's like, you know who sucks? Khorne guys. I know, I was there. And that's why he fights Khorne a lot. If you didn't know that, it's in the Battle Tome, and I didn't even realize that they had a section on him. I was actually revisiting it for a different video. And I was like, oh, like I honestly, I didn't see, like, I started taking notes for Aventus Firestrike as well, and I was like, I did not even, like, flippin' realize that these guys, like, had lore. I don't know why. Never saw their section when I was there before, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, that just helped me pick a bunch of new videos. That one little realization. Well, I thought it was so weird because they've done it before, like, here's a named character, and they don't tell you anything about them, and you're just like, okay. Trust me, they're very cool, and you really want them. Okay. Soulbright isn't as cool. You don't think so? I think he's pretty cool. Wait, Soulbright. Never mind, I'm thinking Firestrike. Yeah, you're fine. Soulbright, I don't remember her specifically. I didn't read hers yet, but I will get there. Okay, we're just painting some happy little orcs if you're just joining us, and reviewing a little bit of lore that came inside our new White Dwarf. Perfect. Okay, let's see, what's our next fun fact here? Going over the story of Torglug. No, there's a specific one that I am looking for. Oh, here we go. 25. This is the one I wanted to have a conversation about. Okay. Here we go. Number 25. During a week-long Guzzfest that saw the victorious Fire Slayers of Hammerhall Aksha drink enough ale to kill a Gigadroth, the loosened tongue of a Runeson, Rolf, saw the secret of Grimnir's demise, and hence the Fire Slayers' preoccupation with Urgold shared with the Caradhran overlords. To their surprise, the knowledge only brings support and eventual talks of a Duardrizal. It's like in italics, it's their own word. They made up a unification that would see Fire Slayers and Overlords united in their goals. So, let's talk about that. Let's unpack that one a smidge. That's an interesting one. So, it's been hinted at before that the Fire Slayers and the Caradhran Overlords would work together. And I don't know how that's going to fit into, like, if they come out with a new battle tome where you can ally them in a meaningful way. Kind of like how the Cities of Sigmar, you can, bring in Stormcast and Sylvaneth, that kind of stuff, in a meaningful way other than just ally allocation. I don't know if it's going to be like that or what. But, very, very interesting stuff. So, what I find interesting about it is mainly that, first of all, somebody blabbed on the Fire Slayer side. That's not good. That's an information breach that is not great. But also that the Caradhran Overlords were eager to help, because there are people who are functionally like godless. They really, really do not like Grugni, the Dwarven god, and that's kind of that's like their patron god, if you will, or it's supposed to be. And so the fact that they're like, oh, but Grimnir, he's okay. He didn't screw us over, which technically he didn't. But the fact that they would even like entertain the idea of like helping reassert a divine being just kind of struck me as interesting. Let's see. Bought a small group of Imperial Guard to build a kill team, but I'm struggling to get the poor fellas painted. Yeah, there actually is a surprising amount of detail in some of those models. Sounds very fishy. Think they're all merchants, first of all. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's an interesting thing, and you guys are pointing it out, where it's like, I'm suspicious of their willingness to help, because it's a situation that clearly has money involved, right? Like, if they can get the Urgold and find out, how do we tell if it's Urgold or not? Because usually that's only the Fire Slayers that can tell. If we can tell it's Urgold, then you can, trade it at a premium. All of a sudden, they're in bank. And it's tough, because, like, some Fire Slayers, not Fire Slayers, some KO are very, like, classically good, you know what I mean? Where, like, they just want to help, and, they would perceive the Fire Slayer's plight as, like, oh, well, if we help these guys, then we get stronger, like, as a species, and like be very on board to help. And then some Fire Slayers, like the Mornar, who are the super shady guys, are like, there's money to be had in their desperation, so let's profit off of it. So it can go a lot of different ways. But I certainly want to see those books, not necessarily combined like the Iron Jaws and Bone Splitters one, because Fire Slayers just got a new book. But could be something like, I can't think of a good example, like Cities, where it's like if you take this specific Skyport, all of a sudden Fire Slayers become a real option because they're helping them for whatever reason. Like I said, it's listed off too, right? Whether it's profit or altruistic reasons, doesn't matter. I want GW to explore more of that because it gives us a good chance to see, you know, the same models they use, but in very different situations. And you know, they don't have to be great, but yeah. Someone, if you could in the chat, because I haven't really looked at the new book's rules. What are the Fire Slayer's allegiance abilities? Is that the one still where you can like choose what your buff is that turn, like they had in the GHB? And yeah, the GHB. I haven't looked at him in so long. Kraken runes, I believe, is still a thing. Okay, right on. And all I know that they got there, not the endless prayers is what they got. So I didn't know if that was also it or what. Last time I played Fire Slayers was about a month before the book came out. I was at a local tournament. Let's see. I was supposed to go to one tomorrow as well, but unfortunately had some stuff come up. Some friends needed my help, and that's more important, so had to bow out. But the next one I do hope to go to with the Iron Jaws and Bone Splitters, because I had so much stinking fun playing them. I butchered the rules on the latest Rerolling Ones battle report. Apologize to everybody under the sun, but you know, it's a new army. I make mistakes. I didn't have enough time in my day to go make a Remember Me list, so that was my bad. You can also tell Jack that Blight Kings get +1 to run and charge. That was probably my bad. Basically, he was asking me questions about them, and I've been reading the Maggotkin book quite a bit, just because I'm doing that army as a project, and totally forgot. I remember I needed him about halfway through the game, but honestly, at that point, everything was so deep into combat that I was just like, meh. He was on top of the wheel, though. I find that that's kind of my biggest mistake, because I tend to forget the wheel. Kenzie, yeah, I could, but I choose not to outsource my thing because it forces me to actually look at the War Scrolls. So much more likely I will not outsource it and will just not play until I have one ready. But, you know, because I was going to go to this event this weekend, I actually did sit down and make one. Actually, I made one for the Big Waw instead of Iron Jaws. Mainly because I wanted to bring the Rogue Idol. Because I just love that model. So I made a big wall list that was basically trying to jam. It was still mostly Iron Jaw units, plus the Rogue Idol. And then I had 6 Gore Gruntas, and what else? 10 Morboyz on Pig. Maniac Morboyz, or whatever they're called, something like that. So, yeah, it was 16 models of just Angry piggy beef running at people. Got a question here. Question: have you played any other tabletop games? I have a book for Frostgrave on the way. I never played Frostgrave, but I mean, I got into the hobby playing War Machine and Hordes back in Iowa. Yeah, and I've played other games, but never gotten super into them. Like I've done Bolt Action, but the problem is that I think locally people were looking for Bolt Action to be like an alternate 40K, but it's a historical war game, so like I don't know, the crowd that is really into Bolt Action didn't mesh well with the crowd that was just coming over from 40K when 40K was in a rough spot like 2-3 years ago. And so you know, because historical war gamers are a different breed, where it's like I won't build that list because that's not a list that would have existed. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like reality and that kind of stuff, which I super respect and can see myself getting into one day, but they were not super into that. What else have I played? Played Malifaux. I enjoyed that one. And that might be one that I cover eventually on the channel. Just at least the lore of it, because Malifaux has a really cool aesthetic. And I love like weird history games, like where like an alternate Earth kind of thing. So I love that. I love like Wild West Exodus aesthetics. That kind of stuff is all cool to me. Have you used the Rogue Idol at all yet? Wondering which really worth the points. I have not. Not in a game. I can tell you he's probably not worth his points in an Iron Jaws list, just because, you know, I was watching Warhammer Weekly and Vince said it perfectly. If you want to spend 400 points on a big thing that wrecks face, you already have that. It's called a Maw Crusher, and it's amazing. But what the Rogue Idol does in Bone Splitters is far better than that. And he has a lot of rend, which is what the faction lacks in general. And since all of the Bone Splitters spells affect him because he actually has the Bone Splitters keyword, you can do crazy things. Like truly crazy things where you make him fly and double his move value, so all of a sudden now you have this 20-inch movement flying rock monster who, because he's Bone Splitters, gets to make his free 5-inch move at the beginning of the game. You can get bonuses to hit from their spells. He can be healed. He can be, you know, all kinds of stuff. He can get +1 to save, so you can get him to a 2-up easily. Yeah, I just think he has a lot more gas in the engine when you're talking Bone Splitters. And maybe Big Wah. It depends on what you want to do. I think if in a Big Wah, it has to be built around him. But he also gives out a spellcasting bonus to any wizards that are near him, like orc and goblin wizards. Or, you know what I mean. So basically, the list that me and Jack were coming up with focused on, you know, turn 1, you get your Rogue Idol stay back, and you use all the buffs to empower like a big unit of pigs and rush them forward around 1. And then, you know, just kind of tie stuff up. You put big blobs of infantry on objectives, and then from round 2 on, everything gets poured into the Rogue Idol, who, you know, you've pinned them down with your anvil unit of boars, and now you're gonna swing at the hammer with a fully buffed and very mad Rogue Idol, because he gets nuts when you start doing like exploding 6s and that kind of stuff that they can do in spades. Hey Hugh, I'm doing well. Let's see. Michael Hammond's in the chat. Michael, how are you liking the new Iron Jaws book? You're a fellow player. And what do you think of the Rogue Idol? Have you looked at his rules? He is nasty. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's great. You know, it's one of those things, like, I think there's a lot of times, like, I think it's perfectly fine to say, I want to use this model, period. How can I build a list that best gets the most gas out of that model, right? And I think if you really want to go play with a Rogue Idol, I think that's probably a good place to start. You know, of like saying, like, you know, you don't have to build the list around him utterly incomplete, like everything has to affect him at all. Nothing like that, not intense, but just saying that, like, you know, how do we make him good, and then how do we support what he wants to do is probably a good starting place. Let's see, I love the idea of the Rogue Idol, but it's a lot of points for him. I'll have to do, as you said, put together a list for him. Yeah, I think that's going to be the key, honestly. It is a lot of points, you know. But here's the thing, is like, if you play him in Iron Jaws, I don't think he's worth it. But in Bone Splitters, you know, he starts at 400, right? And the cool thing about the way Bone Splitters works is, so now you have 1,600 points left. With that 1,600 points, all the things that go into buffing him to make him amazing that you would a lot of times consider like a tax, that you consider a taxation on his cost, right? You know, if you need something to buff him, it's not just 400, it's 480 for a War Dog. They buff everything. Everything around him gets better because, you know, you took the stuff to make him better. So that's what I mean, where it's like, I don't really consider it a 400 point like tax, because I was already going to take those heroes and buff up the Boars and the Morboyz and all that kind of stuff already. And bringing him doesn't prevent me from doing that later in the game, or even before I sent him in. And Bone Splitters specifically are cheap enough that you can field a lot of bodies. You can put a lot of wounds on the table. So even if he's your big hitter and you really focus on him, you really can, if you want to go nuts and just buy like 10 boxes of Savage Orcs, you can do it. It's more when you get into like, okay, well, should I also have, like, for example, a Cunnin Ruck? You know what I mean? Or like something else, something that can remove models at range and that kind of thing. That's where it gets kind of tricky, where you start doing that kind of more nitty gritty stuff. But I think the basic premise of saying, like, here's my big guy, and here's a whole bunch of units, and the big guy's mean, but you're going to spend so much time fighting him that these units are just going to sit on objectives. Please ignore them. Thanks for the advice. Oh yeah, and I plan on talking about him more and more as I play. I want to get like real. I try not to give tactical advice. I just think that he kind of fits in that same space as a lot of those big models. You know, I don't claim to be a great gamer. I just think, specifically in Bone Splitters, he actively brings something that they don't have, which is Rend. They have the big Stabas, which is, they're good. But he basically brings what they do, but also some spell casting, and since all of their synergies, for the most part, revolve around at least a spell, you know, one or two spells, he's a good force multiplier there, where he's not in Iron Jaws. But he does get smashing and bashing in Iron Jaws, which is just so tempting. Let's see. Hope work has eased up. Yes, it has, Alex. Thank you so much. Yeah, it basically our manufacturer of our medical devices. So I work helping old folks with medical technology, and the manufacturer like completely like crapped the bed and had an inventory problem, and so we got all backed up. And these last 2 weeks have been me trying to scramble and help people in the meantime. So anyway, we're pretty much back to normal. Let's see. Michael says, love the new book, 10 out of 10. The Great Wall didn't have enough to draw me in, and I'm not a Forge World fan, so no idol. Yeah, I'm torn on the Great Wall. I think it was Chaos Bond who's on this channel, in the chat a lot. His opinion is that the Big Wall is a trap, and I disagree with that. I think it just really requires a very specific way to play, and I'm not sure that super appeals to me. Yeah, no. Even because I was gonna take it this weekend, tomorrow, to an event that I sadly can't go to now. But because I wanted to try it, before I dismiss the Big Wall, let's just try it. But unfortunately, I'll have to do that next time. I think I don't know. My gut just tells me there's something there, but what you give up is pretty big on both ends. The extra movement from the Bone Splitters and the 6-up forever save, and smashing and bashing and mad as hell from Iron Jaws. Like, those are big losses. So I understand why folks are not super pumped. And also the whole thing that there was that massive rumor engine going around, like, oh, Big Wall is going to be summoning for Iron Jaws. And it's just not. Which honestly I'm happy with. I don't want every army to have summoning. Although I wouldn't have been upset if it was like Beast of Chaos. Which I said when I was playing that army, I said, oh, this is the best way to do summoning, where it's like, it's a thing that's bolted on. It's cool in the sense of it keeps your opponent on their toes, but it's not like that summoning is not very abusable at all. It is the polar opposite on the scale of Slanesh summoning, I feel like. But it's cool. It's an option. It's there, and your opponent, if they forget about it, they'll get bit. Like, that's perfect. So if it was going to be like that, where you scream and you yell and boys come in from various table edges, I'd be down for that. So now I missed a few bone fragments here. Okay. Let's see. +6 to casting in the Big Wall with the Rogue Idol. It's true, yeah. So if you have a Wurgog Prophet, okay, you can take a command trait and an artifact that both individually give you +1, if I'm not mistaken. So there's +2, and then you take a Wardock who can do a prayer that gives another wizard +1, so now you're at 3, so you're already at Nagash level, and you're at like 200 points, I think, of investment. And then Rogue Idol is +1, so now you're at +4, and then as you accrue wall points, you can spend them. If you spend D6 of them, you get +2 to your casting, so now you're at 6. And then, of course, there's other bonuses, like if you're near arcane terrain, that kind of stuff. It can get even higher. I'm a little bummed we didn't get endless spells. I'm not bummed that we didn't get terrain. I'm happy we didn't get terrain, because that's the Bone Splitter and Iron Jaws thing is like tearing down civilization, so I feel like terrain would not be the best. But I truly wanted just a giant green gnarly looking foot to be the Foot of Gork, which, I mean, now that they removed that spell, that might happen one day. Which, I mean, that would just make my day. Yes, the Foot of Gork. I missed the foot. Yeah. Honestly, so I understand. What I miss more, honestly, than the Foot of Gork is the art the shaman getting a bonus to casting if there's a lot of boys around him. I just felt, you know, it wasn't a huge bonus. A lot of their spells were kind of took that into, I feel like, a assessment of like their casting value. I never felt like it was broken or anything like that. I really like the theme of like, as things are getting crazy around the spellcaster, the Wa energy is building up. They can cast better and better. I just love the thematicness of it. Never had anyone complain about it, but they're like, "No, we'll move this to be part of the big Wa," and I was like, "Oh man." Also, they did say in one of the preview articles, like, there's a way to build a wizard themed, all these armies, Ironjaw's, Bone Splitter, that kind of stuff, and I'm not seeing it. They never really expanded upon what that meant, but I'm just not seeing. I mean, there's a lot of like artifacts and like command abilities now that are good for wizards, and I'm assuming that's what they meant. But I was thinking like, a battalion that includes them, or I don't know, something that directly affects wizards more. So I was a little perplexed on that one. Not upset, just perplexed. It's like, no one would have expected it if you didn't go out of your way to mention it. It would have been cool to get a terrain piece to raise instead of the current terrain. Like orcs demolish a building, erect an idol. Oh yeah, I guess an idol would be kind of cool. I won't complain about not having one more thing to buy. I don't know, man. The way that they super focused on the War Chanta, they should have had like a stage and some speakers to have his beats get louder or something like that. Kind of like how they had the altar for Khorne, where it's like, this, we decided to make Slaughter Priest good, so buy this piece of terrain that makes them outrageously awesome. Like, but isn't the terrain supposed to be like representative of the entire army? So shouldn't it like buff melee? Nope, Slaughter Priest. Like, oh, okay. And that's pretty much exactly what happened with the War Chanter, where they're just like, by the way, we decided that you need to sell more of these. Seems as though people weren't buying Start Collecting boxes because they didn't want 9 War Chantas, but now we're going to give you a reason to have 9 War Chantas, so get to shopping. War Chanter on Maw Crush or win. Oh, that'd be amazing. Because then you got to do it like Mad Max, where he has the big speakers on every side of him, like the guitar guy from Mad Max. That'd be amazing. Put a little drum set around him. I know there's a lot of talk at one point of having this is just turning into an Iron Jaws podcast. I apologize, everybody. If you have questions about anything else, I can always dive back into my White Dwarf lore thing as well. There was a rumor at one point of more stuff being on or different mounts, I should say. Like there was like a mega boss on Boar, basically, or something like that. And I don't know how I feel about that. I bet the model would be sweet. Iron Jaws cast, exactly. Well, I'm excited, I don't get really into the game aspect as much as I do like the painting and hobby. Obviously, with the way I switch armies, that's always the focus of what I do, is the hobby side. But now I'm just like really into the way the army plays, and that's a new thing for me. There was the green skin guy on board. Yeah, I meant the Gore Grunta, the newer thing. I have the old school war boss on Sad Piggy. Gore Gruntas are not Sad Piggies. The old ones are set piggies. The book, the art is the Mega Boss on something else. Interesting. Missed opportunity from GW, Magma Joss with no writers. Yeah, well, Zaku, I agree with you. And like, there was people talking about that, the possibility of that when that book was coming out. And the more I was like, no, I mean, the way the Magma Joss is built, I really feel like it needs something up there. I mean, what they should have done, in my opinion, is made an option where there's no rider, but like that part of the back that locks in that space, like where the seat goes, basically, or the stand or whatever. You know, have it be a shrine or something like that. Something that plugs into that little backspace to make it something else. But I agree. I wish there was just Magmadroth, period, not being ridden by anything. Because then there's that one lodge that's all about Magmadroths. But you can't, I mean, you can do it. I mean, you can do the thing they say where you get like an extra, you know, behemoth and be all Magmadrothy and that kind of stuff. But I feel like it just doesn't read the same as, like, for example, Flesh Eater Courts with having the dragons without a mount, or Arachnaroks without the riders, that kind of stuff. Let's see if they made no rider Magmadross. I'd like to see having the dynamic poses. Yeah, the poses they're a big deterrent for me. Specifically, I like the what do you call it? The Stormcast Dragon Cavalry dudes. That names all sound way the same. Do you like it when a pony prances and has one foot in the air? No? Then you'll never like any of the sculpts on these models. Oh, okay. Okay. What you painting? I am painting. This is a Wardock, and I have 20 Savage Auric Morboyz here with me. Kind of batch painting. I needed the Morboy for a list that I was going to run this weekend, but unfortunately can't. And so I was like, well, while I'm working on him, now that there's no pressure, I'll slow down and crank out some bone splitters. And after this, I don't know what I'm going to paint. I kind of want to finish building all of the orc stuff that I have, so that way I'm trying to do achieve the gamer dream of not getting any more stuff until you have finished what you already have. That just, ever elusive reality that'll never happen. But it is actually quite possible at this point in my life where I could conceivably do that. Because all I have is these guys. I got some stuff I have 10 Ardboys and a War Chanter. Those will crank out really easy with the blue. And then go back to Maggotkin or something like that. So, yeah. Super doable. Okay. Now we're ready to highlight sweet tattoos. Oh, Magmadroth looks sweet. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It's not about appearances. They are sweet looking models. Let's see. You're painted, you. Looking, I think like only like 2 or 3 of these guys have these weird like wooden stabba things on their hands. Him and him. Yeah, I thought some guy had an axe that wasn't quite done. I just needed to do the wood bits for one of these guys. The haft of his axe isn't quite finished. We'll take him. Because I was a dingus and I missed part of it. We'll cover that a little bit up. Where is it at? No. No. Let's see. As you can, at least you can do commissions. That's super exciting to me. I can't do commissions. I'm doing one project for a friend here pretty soon, but that's not a commission. I just don't have the heart for it. Like I can't paint something the way that I paint things, like where it's super aggressive, very quick. You know what I mean? Just very quickly and efficiently get color on a model thing. If I'm not into it. Here we go. Wildwood. Have a good day, Hugh. Hey, Doug. First time catching you live. Just want to thank you for all your great content. Oh, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Well, my friend, it is my absolute pleasure. There's so much negativity out there in the hobby these days, and I don't get it, but I don't know. Maybe it makes some people feel good. I'm sure outrage is a great tool for getting views on stuff, but never been my way. And I think a great example of that is what happened this month with the white dwarf that's sitting right next to me, where people just freaked out over the Slanesh battalion. And I just, yeah. It bummed me out. And actually, that was the impetus for me this week. I left all non-painting related Facebook groups and pruned some people off of my Twitter. So now all I see is the stuff that I'm interested in. And I think it was good for me. You know, I was talking about it last night with Jack, and, you know, he's like, I just don't go to those groups very much unless I need something. I was like, well, you know, I tend to be very active in community and that kind of stuff, and so it shows up a lot. I use Facebook a lot for family communications and that kind of stuff, so it's there in front of me. It's just good for me. Not like addicted or anything like that, but yeah. Don't you dare change your asset to the hobby. Well, thank you. Very kind of you to say. I'm just a dude. As I think it was actually Hugh who was signing off. He was like, "What would happen if I met you in real life?" I'm like, "Nothing. Same thing happens to me to everybody else. You say hi. I order a Bud Light." And talk about Warhammer. I just noticed the new Bone Splitters is rather cheap for around 200 euros and minimal conversions. You can get a good 2K army. It is true. Yeah, and it's interesting. You know, this kit is very convertible. I don't know the right word, but easy to convert. Because there's a few, you know, there are minor differences with the poses, but some have like 2 feet flatly planted on the ground. Many are running. And it's just a lot of bits. There's just a lot of little skull bits and that kind of stuff. It's a perfect kit if you're like, I want to make a war dock. I have a kit bashed war dock, especially if you grab the skull box, like the little GW thing where it's just nothing but a butt ton of skulls. That's a great set as well to add to the Bone Splitters kit for awesome conversions. Let's see. I don't like seeing non-hobby stuff on my feeds, to be honest. I don't do much social media. Twitter scares me because it's newfangled. Yeah, it's fine. I think you know, I am actively trying to do this full time and make it a business, and so that kind of, you know, I require an internet presence. It's 2019. It's just a reality. But what I do for business and what I do for my own, you know, my own enjoyment of the hobby don't have to be the same thing. And so I was like, well, you know, I still have my Facebook page and I still very active and respond to people there and on Instagram. But you know what? For me, like my own personal sanity, I don't need to be a part of all these groups. Now I'm just doing a little bit of a highlight on my red tattoos. Just to make them pop. John Jamon in Sotec stream. You are in my area. Invited me to game sometime. Oh yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, I only popped in there for a little bit. He inspired me to want to play Total War more. New channel page. There is a About Me section. It has my email. That's also a great way to get a hold of me if you would like to do that. Nice. This is some good looking Dragfoot. And I will have everyone know that I was painting stuff as Dragfoot before the new book dropped. It is Dragfoot, I was right. Oh yeah, you're asking about the scheme? Yeah, Dragfoot's the red. So, I will be honest, I actually kind of like their rules more from the old Battle Tome. Like, the ethereal thing, I know, everyone had a knee-jerk reaction, and it's just like, oh my god! I don't play against a lot of things with ethereal or after saves. But, on my custom scheme. Oh no. It can be hard for sure. Gotta go fight Maori in the Discord. Did he not think the red ones were Dragfoot? So like their backstory is super cool, where at least their origin is from Akshi, and they just made tattoos out of the blood, nasty, and goreness after Khorne warbands, and so that's the idea of how they can like resist magic and that kind of stuff. And in the old book, they really emphasized like spell casting way more than the current one. In the current one, it's like, oh, you know, because Khorne hates magic, he can push back, you know, the ethereal and that kind of stuff, and that was their logic. But in the old one, it was just like everyone can shoot fire from their eyes and lightning from their butts, and it's just like super cool. He said you were doing Bone Grins. I'm more interested in the rules of Bone Grins, but I'm painting them as Dragfoot because I think the red is a cool complement and difference to the blue that I'm doing my Iron Jaws. That's originally why I did it, and also because I liked the lore. But I will say, yes, I think the Bone Grins rules are just a kick in the tail good, just to put it PG. I was watching the Warhammer Weekly breakdown of the Iron Jaws yesterday at work, and Vince was not convinced that they're that good because there are ways around it. So like basically, if you make a unit run 0 inches, then they don't have to charge, kind of thing. If you're trying to pull them off an objective, and that is absolutely true. There are ways to get around the have to charge thing, but the problem is, I'm more interested in making my opponent waste their brain power thinking about that, and I'm okay with that. That to me is the prize. Force people to make decisions they don't want to make. And that's something you can't really quantify, right? I mean, like, you can know before a game starts, like, oh, I just need to run 0 inches. And then when you're actually in the situation, it's like, are you going to remember that when you need it? Let's see. 2+ stuff. Marspon. Okay. Cool. Well, we can play whatever, man. I think I have enough stuff for Magakin, or we can just hang out and grab a beer. Do whatever. I always like to meet people in person, because the last time I did, I met Jack, and I was just like, he's a pretty cool guy. He's good people. Let's see. Oakshan, question: what's your recommendation for bodies for a kit bash? I never have any extra torsos. So what's your recommendation for bodies? What are you trying to make, and what are you trying to make it from? That would be my follow-up. Love the Warhammer lore, love the video games for it, but never got into tabletop. That's fair. I'm actually getting more and more into Total War 2. Okay. Bonus push at the moment. So the cool thing is if you go out of your way to build some big stabas, that will leave you some extra bodies. Because, you know, your kit comes with 20. If you take 4 of them to build big stabas, all of a sudden you have 6 extra bodies. That would be my recommendation. So playing your kit bashes to go alongside with building those. And then take those 6 bodies and then just go hog wild with... Because that's all you need is the torsos. Everything else you have random parts for. Total War Armor 2 is damn good. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I gotta really like plan it. Like I haven't played a game like it since, well, Medieval Total War when I was in college. Where it's like, you know, it's a slow burn of a game, right? If you're gonna conquer the old world, like, it's a slow burn. I like Jack. Don't talk bad about him. Let's see. 40K. Jack is only good in small doses. That is funny. get rid of this guy. Oh, I don't know what happened in this model when I clipped him off, but he's missing an ear. That's not good. Let's see. So excited to build my Countess Valkia. Right on. What are you building your Countess Valkia as? Just with, I mean, parts-wise. There's a lot of different directions you can go with the wings. She's a character that I wish they would do more with. Has she appeared? I mean, I know she had an old world novel. Has she appeared in anything in AOS? I can't think. Maybe there might be some small publication that I missed, but I can't think of anything she's really been a prominent character in other than like a single Realm Gate War story. Don't let Doug control your knights. We won that fight, by the way. Everyone's saying I'm bad at controlling the knights. I took what, 3 units of knights and 2 pistolier dudes, and I held up a whole flank of an army so that Jack could come in, get all the style points, act like he's a great general, and I'm just like, you know, too nice of a person to tell him like, oh, it was kind of me who saved the day, brother. Funny. Dark Eldar Scourge with some Bloodletter horns. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a great one. Those wings are incredible. And got them all slaughtered. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a price to pay for everything, but we still won. Scourge are the best wings in the game? Yeah, I agree. Have to agree with that one. You know, orcs in Total War 2? Nah, but if you play the Mighty Empires with, or whatever it's called, one where it brings in the armies from number 1, that's the campaign that I'm going to be playing here in a little bit as I try to learn the game at another level. Basically, yeah, I just want to be able to like do cool big battles. I keep getting myself into bad positions with other factions so quickly that all of a sudden like I can't reach the higher levels of the game because I've just made so many stinking enemies that I just get annihilated. Let's see. Also, Norska Master is Wolfric, forever chosen 2012. I haven't done the Norska stuff yet. I should. That sounds like it's up my alley. But right now, I'm pretty sure I should be playing orcs, especially if I want to focus on savage orcs. Bird wings could work. I'm hoping whenever we get these rumored light elves that they have some pretty cool looking wings, flying units, that kind of stuff. I like high elves in the Empire the best. Oh, for playing the game. Yeah, I don't know if I will super enjoy the playstyle of the greenskins in Total War. With their, like, you know, they have the mechanic that, like, they have to keep being aggressive to keep order. Which just kind of pushes you in that direction I was talking about where I keep messing up, where it's like, I gotta be aggressive, but if you keep getting wiped off the freaking map all of a sudden. It's a bit early, got the day off. Yeah, thanks to incredible patrons and support, I was able to go to working 4 days a week. So I have Fridays off to do a live stream for folks in Europe, and then record videos. I'm going to be recording right after this. That is the plan. Okay, so I got to do a wash on the stone bits, and then we're going to start cranking out the weapons. And if you haven't seen my weapons here, I'll hold it up to the camera to show it off. Right there. Where it goes from the dark stone all the way to the bright. It's actually Kindle Flame is the color. And so we'll get to that really, really quickly. And it's very quick. It's just a bunch of dry brushing, but it looks awesome. So... okay, here we go. Oh, another fun fact from the White Dwarf. The Skaven have a way of burrowing through reality using arcane passageways called gnawholes. Okay, cool. It is rumored amongst the Grey Seers of the Master Clan that these are so widespread that one of them has penetrated Sigmar's inner sanctum in High Azir. Though it remains all but unused, every member of the Council of 13 has claimed it to be his works at some point. So, what I want to see one day is I want there to be a big campaign arc where all the bad forces, right, destruction and chaos and death, are like, enough of Sigmar's BS, and they all push back at once. And so you got chaos pouring in from gnawholes, you got destruction. The latest thing we know about the lore of destruction, they didn't really add a whole lot, honestly, to destruction lore in the new book, but the one thing they did add was that Gordrak raided a storm vault, and inside one of them is a god beast's skull, and so now he's using it as a battering ram, and he's going to go smash the city of Excelsius, something like that, and go rock the Stormcast there. And of course, chaos, just going through gnawholes. Death always has ways of messing with Stormcast because they are death. And that kind of stuff. So that's a cool little lore nugget. Yeah, I would love it. You know, because like that's kind of the thing. Like they in 40K, they did a cool thing where it's like, you know, the Imperium was never doing super well, but they were surviving. You know, enough bureaucracy will keep anything alive, and but then they made it just insane by having the big warp storm that tore everything in half, and you know, it's a big pushback to any progress that was being made, especially with like Gilliman coming back. So I think doing that for the same thing for AOS would be like, you know, let's have a big push back against the good guys. Would be pretty sweet. I'm here thanks to Rerolling Ones. Greetings from Canada. Okay, well, thank you. I feel like the Necroquake was that lately. It's true. I mean, to an extent it was. It was a giant game-changing event that affected everybody. I just want to see the good guys get just raffle stomped by everybody. Mainly because I want Azir to be a location that's interactive. Like you can go there, you can, stuff happens there in a meaningful way. I think that would be really cool. I don't feel like we have that right now. This issue's a White Dwarf was like talking all about Azir, and I was like, oh sweet, some Azir lore. And honestly, when they talk about the realms in White Dwarf, it's not really lore. It's always like, here's how you can theme your model from there. It's like, but there's no like rules to be able to be from there. So does it matter? Is there? I mean, I don't think there's Azir realm rules, unless I'm wrong, which happens. There's Ironjaw's clan that jumps through realm gates all the time. Yep, and supposedly never fails to arrive somewhere. Could possibly they make open one to Azir. Oh yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be really fun. That'd be a really stinking fun thing. Also, there ain't no Azir rules. Yeah. Let's see. You're welcome, Doug. Oh my gosh, shut up. Yes, I'm over here riding the rerolling one coattails. You boys are going to take me to the top. For Beastmen, Shaggoth can open away? Maybe. I mean, so their lore is, that they were the original inhabitants of Azir before Sigmar kicked them out. So, like, if anyone's going to find a way back in, you'd definitely be them for sure. That'd be really cool. I'm fine with Azir getting busted as long as my Keratin Overlords get some love. Yeah. I would be down with that as well. I mean, it's already kind of in a bad place, right? The last lore thing we know about Azir is that everything kind of went to crap with the reforging process because the Sacrosanct Chamber got largely pulled away from reforging people, and then the Sigmar Golem was just kind of shattered around when the Necroquake hits. There's a lot going on there. We just don't really know what the full implications of that are quite yet. Okay. So we grab our Corn Red. He's not going to be a part of this because he doesn't have a stone weapon. Anybody else not have a single stone weapon? You, that's wood and bone. Double bone weapons. Okay, looks like all these guys do. Okay. New tome and new units would be awesome. I'm not sure how many new units they would get, but I would love any battle tome. Honestly, I was so hoping. I was telling Jack, I was so hoping that the rules for the Underworld's Warband would just be like, give them a flare gun, right? Whoever that guy shoots, everyone gets +1 to hit against, right? That's all they needed. Not all they needed as a faction, but just like that would have helped. In a big way, but no dice. Oh crap, just dropped my brush. It's fine, everything's fine. How are you? As long as Gordrak gets to crump Sigmar, I'm happy. Yeah, I haven't covered the lore of it yet, but I wasn't super impressed with the lore in the new War Clans book. It really did pretty much copy and paste the stuff that was already there from the 2 battle tomes, which is fine. But like the other ones that they've been doing so far have been like, you know, condensing the story, making it just written, frankly, a lot better. But then also going a step and you know, telling you kind of what they're doing like right now, kind of thing, right? And they really didn't for these factions, which is kind of odd. It's like, you know, they got stuff going on. I mean, no one sits around doing nothing in the realms. Evening all. Sorry I missed your streams recently, Doug. Oh no, don't apologize, friend. You just keep hanging out, doing nothing. Just getting some hobby in. I should be able to, with the exception of basing, be able to get these guys finished today, which is very nice. So then I'll have 30 Morboyz done. Oh no, his hand popped off. It's funny, the millisecond I was like, that hand's kind of sitting at a weird angle, it immediately blew off. Okay, let's get some glue here. I should probably keep it this way and be like, just list off a whole bunch of like super intricate, intense orc names and be like, and that guy's stubby. Here we go. It's sad not to have Lord Reed. Already know what orcs look like, GW. Yeah, it was a weird one. I don't know why. I mean, it's the thing is like if you didn't play one of those factions before, it's a fantastic book. Like it has a lot of really cool, well-written stuff about all the units and that kind of thing. I really do think it's a great book. It's just if you already owned it, you're like, oh, there's just nothing new here. Let's see. Shu does have horrible dice luck, but he is one of my favorite people. Let's see. Rumgate Jumping War Clan is said to be looking for Gordrak. Is he missing? No, they just can't find him. They know there's a supposedly Gordrak is like the leader of what's going to be like the big wall, right? The big one that everyone keeps like prophesying and stuff. And they're like, oh, we want to be a part of that. And so they're running around trying to find him, but they keep going through like the wrong realm gates and ending up in random places. So he's not missing per se. They just keep missing him. Question, why is Mark even called Shu? Because his last name contains Shu. And he prefers to be called it, at least for YouTube personality stuff. So I try very hard to call him Shu. Let's see. No, we don't just call our friends random objects, yeah. He's Shu, I'm Toaster. Jack is Ziploc Bag. We just pick random items. Now I want to do an Iron Jaws Smurf army. Do it. Question: how are you enjoying the War Clans book? I love it. I've played what? So I played. My first game was on Rerolling Ones, and I made a ton of mistakes. I've actually played a game since where I got quite a bit right. You know what I mean? Like I got a little more comfortable with the rules. And I really enjoy it. I love my Iron Jaws, and I want to hold on to them because I think it's an incredibly fun play style. When I think about the synergies and the way that I like to play, I honestly tend to think the Bone Splitters are more my style, but the straightforwardness of the Iron Jaws it is a valuable thing to me. Basically, let me put this here for sort of a little guide for myself. So now I need to do a brighter red, and then we're going to do Kindle Flame. Okay. No nuance. Exactly, yeah. I mean, they punch stuff, right? It is what it says in the tin. Do you like punching stuff? Yes? Iron Jaws. Apply Ardboys liberally. And that's the thing, honestly, like, I will say that from the games that I have played and reading the book and seeing people discuss it, like, I do think, for me personally, an Ardboy heavy list is going to be the way that I play. Just because I really like their stat line now. I like how many you can field. Yeah, there's just a lot to like there. They got tremendously better. That's pretty high on my list. Also, like, one thing I've learned, I definitely learned it when I was playing Stormcast, is like, I never want to play an army again where the basic unit doesn't have at least 2 wounds. I just feel like I take my toys off the table way too fast otherwise. Like, nah, they gotta at least stick around for like 1 round to get punched in the face or something. That's why I can't play a Death Army. Too many 1 wound, like, garbage save models. Don't have the patience for it anymore. Do I love Blood Warriors? Yeah, totally. Yeah, Blood Warriors are a great choice for that. Ardboy's got a huge buff, but I still love Brutes. Yeah, I'll say in the modeling department, Brutes win. These 6 Gore-Gruntas that I just did recently were the first Gore-Gruntas I've ever done, and the first time I actually really interacted with the model. And I loved them. So to me, Gruntas and Ardboys are the way of the future. The way of the future. Okay. But, you know, there are tons of people who still have Brute armies from before and just love them to death because they're amazing models and should be loved. I really like the Brute Fist. What they did with that basically just turns them into Gore-Gruntas, where if you charge, you do like impact damage. That's kind of sweet. I feel like Brute's lost a bit of love from me, leaning towards a Boar heavy list personally. That's fair. I think the Boars, you know, I think who said it best was actually Vince during that War Clans review, where he said, you know, did Brutes get a little worse? Yes, but their points adjusted to compensate for that. So when you step back and like, okay, what's the value of the unit? I think they still add quite a bit. Aviator reference, exactly. It's the way of the future, the way of the future. I try desperately to add as many movie and TV show references as possible because I love when I say it and nobody says anything, and then like 8 days later someone will, in the comments, as I'm like scrolling through to see how people are responding to stuff, be like, I also love Parks and Rec. And you're like, yes! That one guy. Okay, now we got the secret ingredient to Doug's glowing weapon effect, Kindle Flame. Kinsey, who's Red Queen by? Give me the elevator pitch for this book, right? Like, why am I gonna go read Red Queen? And also, who would win in a fight? The Red Queen you're talking about, or Beyonce, Queen Bee? It's an important question. Until a reminder, it's a good book. Right on, right on. Speaking of Parks and Rec, we named our cats April and Andy. Love it. Wait, what did I come back to? Just having a chat. Kenzie is secretly the author doing seamless self-promotion. No, she's pretty shameless with her Sisters of Battle book, short story she wrote that we had in the links on 2+ tomes. She goes full bore shameless, which is good. You should, as an author, self-promote. Because no one will do it for you. Unless you're Kenzie, promoting for whoever the Red Queen author is. It's about a little girl who gets turned into a computer and then slices soldiers into pieces with lasers. You're all going to die down here. She does make a pretty great checker pattern with the lasers at one point. Question, do you have any book recommendations? There's Clockwork Orange, 1984, some great ones. You're talking about Age of Sigmar books specifically. Let's see. If we're talking AOS stuff, anything by Josh Reynolds tends to be good. He's great at dialogue, and that's important to me. Because so many Black Library books are not great at dialogue, unfortunately. It turns out characters talking and expressing the plot kind of important. Okay, let's see. Elevator pitch. Post-apocalyptic America. Folks either have silver blood and magic or red blood and normal. Except one day, a red-blooded girl shows up with lightning magic. What do? Okay. Let's see. I don't know. It sounds like one of those uppity read books and you learn their places. Callus and Tull. Okay. Yeah. Callus and Tull is a great one. City of Secrets was fun. What else? I find more Stormcast-driven books a chore to get through, except for Soul Wars. Oh, most of them, yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. For me, generally with Stormcast, I did this in a a video talking about what I'd like to see from Black Library. I find that they don't lean into the really important things that would be a Stormcast. Like, for example, right here, I've been going through like little fun facts about Warhammer from this month's White Dwarf here. And like, they repeatedly says, Phil Kelly like says multiple times, like, being a Stormcast Eternal is a curse. It's not a blessing. It's not good. Everything sucks. You get blown apart into pieces and then strewn back together, and it's a constant life of warfare and trauma. But none of that comes through in the books. You know what I mean? It's just like a, what ho, I've arrived. Where's the foe? We smash the foe. We're almost not going to win, but then we do. You know what I mean? And that is the synopsis of most Stormcast Eternal books. And that, there's, Josh Reynolds does a great job of having good dialogue in there. But honestly, that's what makes him stand out. So, I don't know. I got nothing. No easy fix to that. All right. Honestly, these guys are looking pretty fly, if I do say so. Zealots aren't interesting. Blah blah blah. Let's see. Let's grab some texture paint. Unfortunately, the bone splitters are already built for Warcry. I made them match the Warcry terrain, so they have this like dark black earth, like they're from Shyish. Actually, it was supposed to be from Actually, that's right, because they're Drakfoot. But I want to make them all match my Ironjaw. So actually, the ones going forward are going to be the kind of like Gur, Amber Earth type thing. And I'll have to go back at some point and redo these guys. It won't be hard. If you just do Xandri Dust, that's what the texture paint is. So pop off the plants, paint them with Xandri Dust, and then a wash and dry brush. So they'll look the exact same. It's fine. It's just time more than anything. So let's see here. Are there any good Nurgle books for out for AOS? I'm curious about this faction. So I'm slowly going through Plague Garden, which does feature a lot of Nurgle heroes. Plague Garden's a good one. Also, it's from the perspective mostly of Stormcast, but the Nurgle is the main villain, and so I'm listening to that on audiobook right now. And Nagash Undying King features a really, really cool Nurgle warband in it that's all about honor, and, well, I guess both of them are kind of the same in that respect, both books, but they're very, very cool. Kind of a weird take on Nurgle that don't necessarily see coming. Can you start saying realm of X in your videos? All the realm names should sound to me. Oh yes, I try to say, like, in Chaman, Realm of Metal. Some of the other videos I didn't quite do that, but I tried to now. Black Talon First Mark had an interesting Nurgle villain. Oh yeah, Ungholgots. Yeah. I had several people in the comments of that video say like they didn't like him, and I was just like, what are you talking about? He sounds so awesome. He's like a Nurgle, like, zoologist. Plague Garden suffers from Stormcast power creep. Ungholgots was the best part of that book. I agree. It wasn't a bad book. I didn't feel like I wasted my time or my money. It wasn't great. Then again, like, I'm not sure how I was supposed to feel about it, because I'm reading it and it's like, okay, well, ultimately this is just like a character profile of this one very specific person. So it's like, well, it didn't make me like want to go out and like buy that model and play her because she's so cool and has awesome lore, which I guess maybe that's what I was supposed to do. I don't know. But it didn't add a whole lot to the universe, as it were. My music's not playing? We just got a really slow song. Really slow song. It's called Funeral March. Okay. so slow you don't even know you're still alive. There we go. Just tip, it's better to apply texture paint before priming than ink and color. Dry brush it. It will not take more time and look way more natural. Fair. These guys were kind of like reclaimed models. They were already on their bases, so and primed. Let's see. I was disappointed with Black Talon. At least it didn't make me angry like Faith and Fire did. I still haven't read that one. That's a Sisters of Battle one, right? Faith and Fire? It sounds like a Sisters of Battle book. Also, can we talk how game industry-wide, it just seems like religious people are always really into fire? There's that same way in War Machine and Hordes with Protectorate Mouth. Religious folks, burn away the heretic. I think I'm basing all my anti-Stormcast books bias on the Realm Gate Wars series. I mean, yes and no, because the new ones haven't been spectacular. You know, anything that focuses on a specific character can either be really good or really bad. Like I've been told that the Hamilcar series is incredible. Or that book, so that's kind of the next thing I'm excited to read. But again, that's a specific character that we get to be in the mind of, rather than like, here's Stormcast doing Stormcast things, right? And you know, kind of zoomed out, that top level. So I don't know. I do still generally agree that Stormcast books can be a little bit dry. I'll say that. Not bad. Just dry. And then, you know, and that opinion is all it's subjective, right? I love reading reviews of Black Library books on Amazon because you get to see why people in their reviews think the way they think, and it's fascinating because you'll have one guy be like, you know, this battle book doesn't make any sense. Some guy made a completely terrible, you know, military decision, and it didn't make any sense, and it was dumb, and it doesn't fit into the lore. All those kinds of stuff. And then you have another guy who gave it like a great review being like, well, he made those decisions because of like XYZ. It was very well explained. It was a character growth moment. And, you know, I mean, because you get that wide range of people who are like, I want action. And then people who are like, I want development of characters and dialogue. Which is definitely on the end of where I fall. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's Sister's novel. To be fair, Realm Gate Wars was pretty rough to read. Some of them I liked. Actually, I thought the start was a strong start. For oh my gosh, now I can't think of the book. I can see it right now because it has Corgus's face on it. But I do think it petered. Well, not just that it petered out, is that it went in a lot of directions all at once when everyone was still trying to like wrestle with the idea of what the realms were. Because you had that one contingent that went to Shyish and got wrecked, and then you had another group that was fighting in Gurian, like whole Gardas' story, that kind of stuff. And then you had Vandus in Realm of Fire. So it was just a lot of directions. And then they kind of really went the other direction and pulled back to where it's like, now it's like all about Shyish. It's just about Shyish right now. It's like, well, but I want to know more about the other places. Like, what's going on with those things we just spent, you know, a year and a half being invested in? So that's a tough one to me. I don't know. I like the Eldar, but the only one that writes them is Gav Thorpe. He is a chore. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I read like a short story by him, but I can't think of a specifically of a Gav Thorpe book. My favorite Black Library authors are, of course, Josh Reynolds. I gush about him all the time, but also John French is really, really good. He writes good villains. If you guys have never read the Ahriman series for 40k, he's the Thousand Sons Egyptian Space Marine evil guys. Very, very well done. He did an interview forever ago on the 40k podcast, Independent Characters, that just like blew me away, where he was kind of going through his thought process on the villains and that kind of stuff. Old Witch Doctor, Gran McNeil Master Race. I do not get that reference or joke. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good books out there. I'm trying to think. There's some other really good ones. Been reading a lot of short stories lately. I'm still, man, because like whenever like a battle tome comes out, I kind of stop everything and just really, dive headlong into it. And now that I really don't care for the 2 battle tomes at once thing. It just is so much to take in. So I got like 3/4 of the way through the Warcry book, and I just have not had the capacity to touch it. I just started the Corvus Cabal story, and I'm like, that's my favorite one. It's the one I'm most excited for, and now I'm like sidetracked by War Clans and Cities. I'm like, oh no, I can't read it all at once. Dan Abnett, Graham McNeil, C.L. Warner. Oh yeah. C.L. Warner, I know I've read something by him. You got me into Sigmar Mate. Love your videos. Thank you so much. Bloodlust Honor. Like the name. I need to finish the Gaunt's Ghost series. Right on. I've heard great things about them. Never read one. I know it's a 40k series, but like, what army is it? Is it Guard? I've only ever not finished a book like twice. Guardsman. Okay, cool. Got 140k books on the way. Super hyped. Whoa. Corvus Cabal one's pretty good. Just have the Iron Golems one left. Waiting on your say-so. Sorry. I know. I'm keeping everything. Holding everything up. But the people demand videos. When it comes to those faction stuff and GW sending copies, I try to make it a priority for sure. It's okay, Dick Dick. Still love you. I demand a book club. Let's see. One of his forwards, Abnett, said he couldn't write Space Marines as they are very inhuman, so he started writing Guard, and then after getting the feel for 40k, he felt more comfortable with Space Marines. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I get that. That's interesting that he says they're not human, they're very inhuman, because I feel like the 40k books that I have read, they write them as being very human, where I'm just like, I mean, I have that same problem with a lot of the Stormcast books, like, you know, we were just talking about, where all these things are mentioned in this little lore blurb here in White Dwarf, but they don't translate into, you know, the full novels. I kind of feel that same way. Read all the Twilight books, hated them, still finished. Oh, that's awesome. Did you read the Harry Potter books? I never did. Never did the Harry Potter. Never. Honestly, you know, for as much as I have a lore channel, I really don't read a whole lot. If I'm super duper honest with you, I'm a talker. You know, got the gift of gab. Rather just read something once in the battle tome and then talk about it for 12 hours. Good evening, one. Hope you're all doing good. Also, they are inhuman in the fact that they are so far removed from base human desires. Yeah, I mean, and I feel like that should matter, right? Like, that should definitely come up in the way that they, like, you know, you have a completely different value system and perspective as a Space Marine than you do, like, as the leader of a planetary defense force, something like that. And I never felt like, though, you know, aside from like being awed by their size and strength, I never felt like that was super well conveyed. Of like, what do two people look like talking together when they have utterly different values? You know, didn't miss much with Harry Potter. Right on, right on. Did read all the Star Wars extended universe before Disney killed it. Did they kill it? How'd that work? They're just like, it's no longer allowed to be printed anymore, and it's all like lore-wise, like not considered canon. I mentally like checked out of Star Wars a while ago. Which, I mean, when I was a kid, man. Oh, I say when I was a kid. When I was in high school, I was a super nerd for Star Wars. I was writing on their Wikipedia, which is amazingly called Wookieepedia, and I love it. Extended universe is non-canon, so it's all a dream job of that. I like that. Abnett did that a good job in Iron Snakes. I will check that out. Dan Abnett, Iron Snakes. Okay, that is a recommendation I will definitely go with. I don't know all his Red Queen business, but Dan Abnett by Iron Snakes. That was just a fun jab. You gotta make yourself laugh sometimes. Harry Potter's fine. Chamber of Secrets is best. Right on, right on. Wheel of Time. I've heard about that. Never read it though. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting more into audiobooks for certain. I still don't like audio dramas because there's too much noise. I just get very like distracted by it, and all of a sudden I realize I haven't been listening. I've just been at work listening to swords clash and garble screams in the background. I was like, oh man. But yeah, the actual books themselves, I'm going through Play Garden right now. I actually just recently started it. I'm enjoying it. It's not great for like a book review format though. Like if you have the actual book like on your Kindle or even a hard copy, like it's really nice to be able to like flip to places and find things that you wanted to revisit to do like a book review for. So it's not super conducive to that. When I did Black Talon, that one I did an audiobook format, and immediately when I was getting ready to do the 2+ tomes like review of it, I was like, oh crap, I don't know where half this crap I wanted to reference is. Does anyone have any experience with crackle paints? Not the one used on bases, but the ones that are like in a layer in between colors to make it crackle effect. I don't think I've tried anything like that. I mean, I've tried like the texture paints that crackle into lava. Is that what you're talking about? I did a little workshop with Lord of Paints, Duncan Rhodes at Nova. I have never played D&D or any role-playing game. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, 2 more guys. Okay. Oh, 3 more. I gotta do the shaman. Okay. I'll tell you what. Whoever suggested it, I will go ahead and throw the texture paint on this savage boss first. And then we'll try priming him. So let's just do it. I'm real. Doug has all the talent, needed to be an amazing dungeon master. Oh, well, thank you. Is a dungeon master, is that a cool thing? Like, I'm sorry. That was probably the wrong way to ask that question. Is, like, how am I trying to word this? In D&D, is the dungeon master core to the experience? Like, will having a good dungeon master make a game amazing and a bad one just absolutely ruin it kind of thing? Like, is it that integral? Like I said, I've never even watched, like, the Critical Role stuff gets suggested to me all the time on YouTube. Dungeon master is the guy who tells the story and plays all the NPCs. Okay. Guy who runs it. Okay, so they're very integral to like the storytelling aspect. So interesting. Frederick, don't know really. I have this idea for a paint scheme for Fire Slayers, but don't know if it would work. Please tell me about your paint scheme idea. I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, the DM sets the course of the game. Okay. Is an author critical to the book? Okay. Well, fair enough. Go easy on me. I don't know. Well, and the reason I ask is because, like, the only things I know about D&D are, like, the books that you can get at, like, half-price books where it's, like, the monster manual and, like, a pre-made dungeon scenario, I'm assuming is what it is. Something like that. Some kind of expansion material. And so my thought was, like, okay, well, is he just in charge of, like, is it the banker of Monopoly who technically is integral because they keep track of the money? Or is it like he's the actual, like, the one who kind of propagates the story? And it sounds like he's the one who propagates the story. So you can see my confusion, because if everything comes in a book, it's like, well, what's this guy doing? No, Doug, rabid D&D fans will tear you in half. That's the sounds of it. How important is this one particular person? Screw you! He pulls the strings, so to say. Okay. Even to a pre-made adventure, he's more of the director. Okay, that's a good way to put it. I can get behind that. I can understand that. Kind of sets the mood, keeps things moving, which is important for any game. Always got to have stuff moving. Cool. I think when the AOS RPG comes out, I think Jack, maybe it was Jack. Jack, if it was you, let me know. Someone wanted to do a game like that with us, me and Rerolling One guys. So that'll probably be my first experience. Which will be good because I will have some... Like, I'll understand a little bit about that world. Just a smidge. That might help kind of ground me a little bit when it comes to decisions and what it's supposed to be like. Being DM demands having a god complex. Guilty. I'm just kidding. I don't have a god complex. I just crave attention. It's not the same thing. I read Alloy of Law, got into Shadows of Self, but didn't really care for Wax as much. No, that's all gibberish to me. Oakshan, oh my god, Wax is awesome. Fight me, Red Queen Girl. I don't know, dude. She's a Texan. You don't mess with Texan ladies. They'll kill you. They kill you if they love you too much. Never mind if they're mad. Okay, well, let's see. At this point, everything has to dry. But honestly, I'm really happy with the way these guys turned out. The tattoos are bold, nice, and pop well. I might... Some of these guys have like scales. I went with the Sotek blue. I might do that as a highlight kind of thing. So I'll go back over then and just kind of pick out little bits of detail on them to make them pop a little bit. But honestly, I'm very happy with the way the unit looks, and I'm probably just gonna leave it there. So I'm gonna go hop off. Oh, there we go. She was gonna DM. I'm gonna be Stormcast, who's been reforged way too many times. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off for the night, and hopefully I'll have these done by tonight. Like in terms of drying, I have to do the rest of the basing, which is just includes a wash and that kind of stuff. And so I will do that and throw pictures up online so y'all can check it out. They're not nearly as detailed as the other stuff that I've painted before, just because there's gonna be so many of them. There's 30 of them, my goodness. So anyway, I will catch you all very, very soon in my next stream. Everyone have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we'll be back on Monday talking about Bone Grins, diving a little bit into more Seas of Sigmar, Iron Jaws, Oryx, War Clans, that kind of stuff, and why I love this army so much. So yeah, I will see you all later.